Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I am Michelle Perkins, your host. I bring you tips, advice, and guest stories about creating work you love. Whatever type of career or business you have or want, I want to help you find more meaning, money, and happiness. Now we are live from Hollywood. Hello, and welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm your host, Michelle Perkins, and we have a great show for you today. I'm really excited about our guest today. We have a guest interview providing really interesting information on something we haven't talked about yet on this show, franchising. So I'm very excited about the opportunities that this might open up for people who might have an interest in that. And we're going to find out from our expert, Jane Stein, who the right people are to be considering a move like this, and some of the opportunities and just her advice on this whole topic, I think is going to be invaluable. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to learn from her. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to jump in because there's a lot to talk about and introduce you to Jane right now. So previously with a large Wall Street firm, Jane Stein was a certified financial planner for over 25 years and provided comprehensive wealth management solutions for a large base of families. Representing over $250 million in assets, she wrote an investment column carried in various Houston newspapers, appeared in numerous radio and television interviews related to investing, and established a program called Money Matters for Women. She was passionate about empowering women to take charge of their investments and was known throughout the industry for creating bulletproof relationships utilizing high-touch customer service strategies. Now she helps men and women achieve financial security through business ownership, which is far more empowering. So Jane, welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
Thanks, Michelle.
We don't actually have you here. You're actually zooming in from which state?
Denver, Colorado.
Okay, great. And thank you so much for being here. This is really a treat. And I think this is an area that I'm not sure people in general know that much about. And so I'm really excited to bring the information that you have to our listeners. So
Great. My pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. And I'd love for you to just start by telling us a little, because you clearly had made a transition yourself, and I'd love because a lot of people who are listening are also either going through transition or would like to go through transition. So I always love it when people tell their transition stories. So if you would do that for us and let us know how you landed in the profession you're currently in, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a funny story, actually, but I was in the brokerage business in Houston, Texas. And I am one of those interesting people. I don't know if you come across people in your practice, but I was good at what I did. I was very successful. And I actually hated it the last 10 years out of the 25 or so that I did it. I guess just burnout, same conversations, same, day to day. I'm one of those people that thrives on variety and newness. And I wasn't learning anything. And I was just sort of done. You just know in your body when you're done, when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, it's a work day. Anyway, so I retired at age 47. I was pretty young. That was a partial retirement. So the truth is I partially retired at 47 and moved my family to Boulder, Colorado. My kids were still young enough, and everybody said, you got to get them out by middle school. So that's what we did.
And nobody told my parents that. I moved twice in high school. So.
Oh, my God. And you're still speaking to them?
I am. I appreciate it now. It was, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, cut to now my oldest goes to college, and I realize I'm bored. I get bored easily. This is a recurring theme, I might add. And here's how ignorant I was. I thought, oh, okay, I have a little capital. I'll buy a franchise and they'll run it for me.
Ah, interesting.
So I start clicking around on the internet on all these franchises, and what happens, people don't realize this, those are actually lead portals for salespeople, whether it's franchise brokers or franchise salespeople for that franchise. So you think you're going to get information by email, and no, your phone is going to light up. So my phone starts lighting up, and it's all these franchise people. And long story short, this one guy gets through, and I like him, and he's
Hmm.
pleasant, and he's a gentleman from Tennessee, and we're chatting, and he takes me through his process, which I found fascinating.
Hmm.
The process was he had me do a disc analysis,
Oh,
which I had done before.
right.
We had many long talks about what the perfect business would look like and how many hours I wanted to work and what
Hmm.
were my unique and transferable skill sets. And I just loved the process. So at
Right.
the end of which I said, I would love to do what you're doing. And so that's how I got into the business. And
Nice.
it turns out there are franchises to be a franchise broker.
Huh.
And
Okay.
interestingly enough, so he immediately tries to sell me into his franchise. And it's a long story short, I was about to do it. And like most franchises, you pay a percentage of your, gross revenue. And
Mm-hmm.
in some models like this one and similar to real estate,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a real estate broker and you work for Coldwell Banker,
Right.
they take 25% of your deals. And so this indeed was similar to this model, and they would take 25% of my revenue. And I just started talking to people in the business, and they said, well, if you know how to market
Hmm.
and you're smart, why on earth would you buy a franchise to do this business? There's
Right.
ways to get educated. There's associations out there you can affiliate with. And indeed, that's what I did. So
Oh, very
I am an
smart.
independent franchise broker, and that gives me the benefit of having literally 600 different brands that I can
Mm.
talk to. They're in my database. I can work with clients to research. So it gives me a
Oh,
bigger
very
playing
nice.
field as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. And that to me sounds like a way to not be bored. So you can't be bored when
Right.
there are always new franchises and you're always learning new things in that arena. So that's great. Um, so what is it that you would say to somebody, just like if they were in, the same position that you had been in, where now you're sort of thinking about that and not really sure what franchise would be right for you, but just interested in the idea of franchising as a business.
Oh, okay. Well, I can launch into the benefits, which I think most people intuitively get. You can, first of all, let's talk about why people would want to be in business for themselves to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just tell you the things I hear over and over and over
Okay.
in my telephone consults with people all over the country. And what I hear over and over again is, I'm tired of being laid off.
Yeah.
I'm in IT.
Mm.
This is the third time I've been laid off. My industry is changing. I really don't have the knowledge base that I need anymore. Or I'm just tired of, not controlling my own destiny.
Right.
I hear people wanting flexibility of their time.
Mm-hmm.
They want to spend more time with their family and be able to pick up their kids from school and
Mm-hmm.
not be on an airplane all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They are tired of working their butt off for someone else's
Yeah.
bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
They're at a ceiling. Their income is capped now, and it's time for them to start building something for themselves, because in a business, you're going to build some equity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's fabulous success stories around that. And finally, people talk about just wanting to be the master of their own ship.
Yeah.
It's very stimulating. It was
Right.
the biggest thing for me in terms of wanting to do this was, the more I thought about it, the more excited I got about the idea that I could 100% control the outcome of my business. And
Mm-hmm.
whether I succeeded or failed, it would be on my steam. And that was extremely stimulating to me. I wanted a challenge. These are also, a lot of people will say, I just want a challenge. I'm just
Right.
not learning anything anymore.
Right.
And finally, sometimes people say, and this was not my thing, and my business is not this kind of a business, but often a primary objective will be, I'd like to leave a legacy for my kids. I have a
Mm-hmm.
daughter. I have a son. She's floundering. She's in her 20s. She's in her 30s. They are not, they want to own a business, and I'd love to own a business with them. And I think it would be a lovely thing to leave my children a legacy. So those are the
Yeah.
primary reasons people give for just wanting to own a business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I can speak to the benefits of why they sometimes come around to, I should really invest in a franchise.
Yeah, I think that's the piece that really fascinates me because most of the people that I work with are, they're either starting something up or they've started something and they're growing, but typically they're not franchise businesses.
Right.
They're, they had an idea, they had a product, they had a service, and they are learning all the ins and outs of how to develop that business. So this is different, and I'd love to know. The positives and maybe some of the challenges that a person might run into owning a franchise versus starting a business on their own.
Sure. Well, we can start with maybe the why someone would come around to this.
Okay.
So it's really not for that burning entrepreneurial startup guy with the motivations and capital and desires to really shape something from the ground up.
Okay.
So it's interesting. I do psychometric assessments as part of my process. And specifically, if somebody comes in at a certain number on the entrepreneurial scale, they're not right for a franchise because they're going to chafe at being told this is how you're going to do it.
Right.
So the profile of somebody is somebody who's entrepreneurial, has always wanted to own their own business, but not that entrepreneurial.
Right.
They don't have the burning idea. They don't have the desire, and they have a little bit of a lower risk profile.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not so much extreme pioneers.
Right.
They're wanting a proven system. They want to invest in a brand that's going to teach them everything they need to know about that business.
Mm-hmm.
They are willing to pay fees to do that.
Right.
Because every franchise has two kinds of fees, well, really three. You're going to pay a franchise fee to get in it,
Okay.
and that simply is the fee you pay to own your territory, your protected territory,
Okay.
usually, and that's anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000. That gets you all your startup support, your territory award, and a lot of other things.
Mm.
But on an ongoing basis, you're going to be giving corporate 6 or 8 or whatever percent, 4%, 8%, somewhere in between, of your gross revenue.
Of gross revenue.
And
Okay.
the partnership agreement that you're making basically is, look, you're participating in my success, and I'm relying on you, corporate, to provide me with the services and support in every aspect of this business that I will need to drive this business to $1 million in gross revenue.
Okay.
We both are aligned in that same goal. That's how royalties work.
Okay.
So the profile of somebody who wants to invest in a franchise is really not entrepreneurial, but not bad entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
They appreciate that it's a proven system. They don't want to reinvent the wheel. They don't want to drive themselves that crazy, but they're willing to work hard at someone else's business idea and strategy if they can get excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my part, is trying to find something they can get excited about.
Right.
But if they can get excited about delivering those products and services in their local market, it's a lower risk profile.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're not reinventing the wheel. If you've never owned a business before, franchising should rise to the fore. Another thing. These guys that are serial entrepreneurs but just keep starting up businesses probably would never cross their mind, although they're serial franchise entrepreneurs who start with one brand, build it up to 5 locations. Now they add to their portfolios, and these are the real fortunes that are made. People that have owned hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Taco Bells and Kentucky Fried Chickens. And
Okay.
I mean, I know a man who owns 350 small franchises all over the Southeast, and he owns pretty much every fast food brand you've heard of.
Wow. Interesting.
So
Well,
the other reason to invest in, I just want to say one more thing, and people don't really think about this as a benefit, but if you are in a franchise, you're going to have the benefit of a lot of buying power, and that translates to vending discounts.
Okay.
So if you're in a basic bread and butter service business, let's say you're a air conditioner repair guy,
Okay.
and you're trying to deliver the Carrier air conditioner at a price point that will be competitive, you are already in a huge losing proposition with every other air conditioning franchise owner in that city because they are getting huge volume discounts from Carrier, as an example.
Interesting.
So, and that's true across all kinds of services.
Oh, that's fascinating to me. Okay. Yeah, that's a big incentive, actually. You mentioned something that I've always kind of been curious about, and I've always heard with owning franchises that you need to own at least 3 for it to really start becoming, very profitable, or, to earn the income you want. Maybe that's not true. That's just something I've heard. I would love for you to, tell me if it's true or not, and also explain why that is.
Great.
If it is true.
And I also made a list, I just remembered this, of like top 3 misconceptions about franchising, so we can talk about that. But that's one of them.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So the thing that people don't realize, first of all, when they think franchising, everybody thinks fast food or maybe supercuts or something brick and mortar. And so I've got a list of like categories, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different categories where you're delivering products and services of different kinds. But let's start with what you asked. And that is true if the business is something like haircuts, because the one thing you're always going to want to think about is your scalability. And if you have a brick and mortar business, whether it's food or fitness, those are the 2 big ones.
Okay.
And here's some more, supercuts, or hair. So let's say you're in beauty, food, or fitness. The way you scale that business is to open another location, because you're eventually going to be capped out by your space and your people that can operate in one location.
Got it.
And certain models aren't highly profitable from a net EBITDA kind of a figure, in terms of trying to get to $300,000 a year, as an example, in net income. You are talking, 15 supercuts or 20, and again, I'm not bashing supercuts. Let's not even say supercuts. Let's say you are talking 15 of the haircut model.
Okay.
And you may be talking 2 of a fitness model, and you may be talking 3 of a food model. So every business has their own unit economics, but in brick and mortar, where you're spending $300,000-ish to $500,000-ish to get your store opened, with the equipment and the build out and all of that. That's how you scale. You have to do another one and another one and another one. So now you're talking $1 million to get 2 or 3 opened to hit your goal.
Okay.
The other way of a scalable, profitable business is a service-based business that does not require a storefront, a big retail space in a shopping center with a Starbucks.
Okay.
So, if there's no 5,000. So all these that are being illustrated here are brick and mortar businesses that require highly visible storefronts and will be anywhere from 300 to $1 million to get them opened. Service models are all kinds of things, whether they're in home services, whether they're cleaning, commercial or residential, restoration, providing things for people in their homes, window washing, blinds, kitchen remodeling, all of that kind of stuff. I am reading my sheet. Business to business models where you're offering cybersecurity or locksmithing or landscaping or whatever to businesses, or you're doing business coaching or business consulting. All of these kinds of things, tutoring, are home-based. What I call home-based, it doesn't mean you're literally sitting there in your basement working.
Okay.
You have a small office somewhere in an industrial warehouse or an office building, and you're operating your empire. And those businesses, you scale by simply adding what I call techs and trucks.
Okay.
So the air conditioning businesses, any kind of a service-based business, you scale as your business grows. You add on more technicians, more people, more salespeople, whatever it is, and more vehicles.
Okay.
And those are the businesses that have the highest return on investment. And truthfully, you can generate that figure that we kind of threw out before from one territory or two territories,
Okay.
and one centralized office that you're operating out of. So just depends on the model and what it is you want. The thing about brick and mortar businesses is they can be quite absentee, and a lot of people like that. They don't want to quit their jobs. They want a sideline. They want a
Ah.
secondary stream of income and to build an asset. And maybe eventually they'll leave their jobs full time, but they're starting it as a sideline and they only have 20 hours a week to put into it. Well, that's not going to be that latter description. Those are owner operator models.
Oh, that's fascinating. I had actually hadn't thought of it as a side business, and that, yeah, I can totally understand how that would be something really exceptional to do if you can do it. It's a
Yep.
it's a little
That's
different.
a big percentage of for some reason it goes in waves. There's not a lot of layoffs right now, probably that's why. But most people that I'm working with at the moment are looking for, they have highly lucrative jobs and they're just looking to start something that will be a, retirement asset for them.
Right. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's fascinating. I know when we talked quite a while ago, you did throw out and you just did throw out some ideas, but any really unusual things that people would never think of that they can get involved with as a franchise?
Oh, well, there's crazy things. There's crime cleanup. There's all kinds of software and accounting franchises. There's real estate franchises. There's franchises to be a home inspector. Of course, there's the real estate fix and flip franchises. We Buy Ugly Houses is a franchise.
Ah, interesting.
Senior care is really a very
Yeah.
lucrative business that people are getting into. There's a great model if somebody doesn't want to have employees where you only do senior care placements.
Oh, interesting.
And it's, for the person who doesn't want to deal with employees, they, want a business they can literally work from home, like mine. It's a lot like my business, actually.
Okay.
And you help people identify where their mom or dad or where they want to be, and you've got a database of all the safety records of all the assisted living and nursing homes in your community, and you consult with them, you get a budget, you show them 3 or 4 ideas. You send them off to go tour with the manager of the facility, and if they move in, you get a nice placement fee from the facility.
Interesting.
That's
Okay.
interesting business. It's
Yeah.
unique.
I'm sure that's a growing business, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm currently marketing for a business that's brand new, and I'm actually helping them with some advertising, and it's e-gaming, which I don't know if you have any idea how huge this is becoming. It's competitive gaming. These are the guys and gals who are in their 20s and 30s,
Yep.
and they game online. It's not Xbox.
Huh. Yeah, the younger radio engineer, Ryan, is nodding his head. I do not know about it, but so that's a big up and coming.
Super
So
hot right now.
what is the
Yeah.
business around that? What?
So the business model for this is it's 2 guys who had been in franchising for a long time, and they decided to get together. They had been in Europe, and in Europe, it's huge, in Asia as well. They will have arena competitive gaming events with hundreds of thousands of people who come to watch people game. And it's crazy. And almost every college in the country right now is offering scholarships for competitive gamers, and they're having sport. Yeah, I love this guy, Ryan. Exactly. And but these 2 guys got together and thought, well, how can we make this a franchise model? We can't compete with these big players that are putting in hundreds of millions of dollars to do what we just saw, that arena thing. And they knew that what everybody is looking for in a franchise is low cost, low labor model, and absentee. So they were like, So they got together, tweaked the model, and what the business is a little 1,500 to 2,000 square foot place with 25 to 40 gaming stations, and you charge people by the hour, and you're open till 2 in the morning. Very absentee. You have a few employees who are young and love to game, and you sponsor tournaments, and you sell a little food and monster drinks, and you it's mostly hourly play. That's the bread and butter. Yep, it looks just like that. Ryan, you're awesome. I need you to like follow me around as I'm doing presentations to people. Anyway, that's exactly it. What he just showed, that's the business.
That is so interesting. Okay,
Mhm.
I love that. And it sounds like it could be quite profitable, actually.
We'll see. It's brand new. I
Okay.
have to say, not for the bold. It is for the bold. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a real pioneer business because they actually don't even have a single location yet. But
Okay.
the
All right.
first one is opening this month, and they've already sold about 12. So it'll be happening very quickly over the
Very
next.
interesting. Okay. So that's great. And let us get into a little bit about what the company does for the franchisee, because again, in my relatively uneducated mind on this subject, I'm thinking marketing. That's the big deal to me, is that they would handle my marketing, which, as you know, I know there's more. I just don't know what it is. And how does that work?
Okay. So let's talk about that because this is kind of one of those misconceptions that I want
I
you to
have a
have.
lot of misconceptions.
No, 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 no. It is true that they handle it, but let's talk about what that means. So people think, like I did in a franchise, that it's your money, but they come out and do the space design, and they come out and handle, and they do all of your marketing
Mhm.
for you, and honestly, that is true in some brands that are very, very established.
Okay.
But most brands, here's how it looks. They have marketing collateral. They have a marketing company, either outsourced or in, that does all the marketing. They have the collateral. They've tested it for years. They know what works.
Mm.
And right now, and it's evolved. And now everything, especially in a consumer-based business, is pay-per-click, social media.
Mm-hmm.
So they have in-house people or external people who, yes, will do that for you, but it's often you have to pay for that.
Oh.
Some brands will pay for it for the first 3 months.
Okay.
Some brands do it for the life that you're a franchise owner for no fee. And some brands will say, here's the collateral, hire a local social media person to do your executing, and we'll coach them about, here's the stuff that works that we do. So every business is different.
Okay.
So in terms of what you get, there are varying levels of support depending on the maturity and the size of the franchise brand and the culture that you're investing in.
Okay.
There are some brands where they have a very deep bench. They have 200 people to support their franchisees. They have operational coaches who meet with them weekly to review their KPIs. They have marketing coaches who meet with them weekly to review their data of what's working and what's not and help them tweak the marketing or do it for them.
Wow. Okay.
They have HR people who help coach them on firing and hiring and help them deal with that. There are some senior care brands now that are advertising, we will hire your first 10 caretakers for you.
Oh, wow.
So every brand is different in terms of what you are getting. What you always get is shared best practices with the other franchisees and corporate.
Okay.
You generally will get all kinds of support every single time you have a problem. There should be somebody to call 24/7 to help you with that problem through the life of your franchise agreement. You should be getting an annual conference where everybody shares best practices and there's awards and it's super fun. You should be getting a rollout of new products and services every year or other year to keep the brand current and on trend. That's the perfect world. That's what you should be getting in a franchise.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, it's sounding really good with all that support.
And I forgot to mention one of the biggies, so the vending discounts. But don't forget, when you start a business yourself, you'll be investing tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 into your technology and your website, and that is always done for you. That is always you get a CRM, you get your point of sale technology, that's all included. You get your website, so all of that technology piece as well.
Well, and there are a lot of decisions decisions that you don't need to make when somebody else is providing that. I mean, I'm I have a mastermind where we've been talking about, what CRM for, I don't know, 6 months, and so it is
Right.
kind of nice when those decisions have been, they've tested, what they're using, and they're
Right.
basically giving you that instruction. Um, what about the people who would anticipate feeling kind of trapped in a franchise? Like, but I want to do, you know, everything my way. You're saying they're not a good candidate, but what about the person who really is considering it and just wants to kind of alleviate that feeling? What would you say to them?
Well, it's tough. I mean, I try to have really honest discussions about what it's going to look like. You're signing a contract. It's a
Mm-hmm.
marriage. It's
Mm-hmm.
10 years typically.
Okay.
And they're going to want you to follow their systems.
Okay.
Now, I will say there's a big difference between buying a Dunkin' Donuts or a Subway and buying this brand that we just discussed. It's crazy new.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's everything in between. But in what we call an emerging brand, which is a brand that has less than 50 locations open and operating.
Okay.
Let's define that. And everybody has a different, some people say, well, less than 25 is really emerging because by the time you have 50, you've worked out the kinks.
Okay.
But let's just say you're one of the 25 brave souls to first sign up. And how that happens, believe it or not, most of the time is because somebody has experienced that business in a city and they want to bring it to their own city. They think it's the coolest thing since sliced bread.
Sure.
And they want to open one and they're willing to
that.
take the risk of a new brand.
Okay.
In a new brand, you are going to be testing the products and services. You're going to be providing a lot of input. They are most definitely going to listen to their first 25 franchisees and hopefully first 100 for feedback. They're going to be you're going to be helping to build the brand with them. So you will be very much involved with those founders on a day-to-day basis, testing new products, testing new services. It will almost be like owning your own business. You'll still be relying on them for certain services that they're providing you, but that's a good spot sort of that's in between for somebody who likes to do it their way, likes to have some entrepreneurial spirit. And also I'll say that a good franchise consultant, little plug here, sort of knows the difference or can help you determine early on in the discovery process how flexible that system is that you're researching.
Okay.
I'll give an example. Budget Blinds is known for being, and they have 1,000 locations, and they're known for being, or more, very flexible in what kind of an owner you can be. You can be Chuck in a truck and do all your own sales, installations, and make your little six-figure income and be happy, or you can scale it and have a very large business with 25 sales reps and a storefront.
Wow. Okay.
Or anything in between. And they have people in their system that are along all of those spectrums. They are known for being very much about, here's all the benefits we'll provide you, and they get tremendous vendor discounts. And anyway, you can execute that business at any level that you want to.
Okay. So it really varies, is what you're saying. There are a lot of options and opportunities out there, and they're all different, it sounds like, which makes it really interesting. What would you say to someone who has a business that they're thinking could potentially become a franchise opportunity for people, and they want to scale their own business with that model? What would you tell them to think about? I have actually someone in mind who I know for years has said, there's no other business like mine. I would love to turn this into some kind of a franchise.
Cool. What I always tell those people are, number one, there has to be, the unit economics have to be there. I was speaking to a gentleman who I hope isn't watching the show that is a tea house, very popular tea house.
Okay.
And he wanted to franchise and had already started the process. Had already hired an attorney. He was, kind of just like wagon first.
Okay.
And we'll figure it out later. And I said, great. How much are you netting on this store? And he said, $40,000. I said, who would buy that?
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
And you're working a lot in your store.
Mm-hmm.
So the unit economics has to be there. It has to be translatable to a person. If it's an owner operator model, that owner is going to want to see that there's a path to six figures.
Okay.
If it's an investment model, that owner is going to want to see, like you said, that with 2 or 3 locations, that they can do well.
Okay.
There just needs to be a path to that with a manager in place in that last example. But so first of all, that's a given, and you should have a proven concept. There should be at least 5 years of operating history so that somebody can see. The other thing I would say is branding.
Yeah. Okay.
There are certain businesses that you just walk in and you think, oh my God, this must be a franchise because everything is adorable and they've got funny, edgy expressions and T-shirts and hats and colors, and the same colors are on everything and the same colors are on the menu.
Right.
That's how you know. Now that's if it's a consumer model. If it's B2B, it just has to be profitable, repeatable, executable by a variety of different skill sets. If it's going to require a highly technical knowledge base, no. If any smart person can learn how to do this, great. And, you have to work with an attorney, a franchise attorney, and get your ducks in a row and be prepared for the fact that this is your baby. And no matter how much control you think you're going to be able to have, once you get 50, 60, 70 other people doing this in other states, you are invariably losing a little bit of control. Okay. You can put teeth in your contract so that you can try and protect your brand, but you are giving up control. You are hoping that other person is aligned with your values, is honorable, is ethical, right? And be careful who your first 10 franchisees are. Be very careful. Be picky.
Interesting. Yeah, I was wondering about that. If somebody comes in and wants to buy a franchise and they're working with you and making that process go, I'm assuming that they have to be vetted and qualified, and there's a process of really applying that goes beyond just having the money to do this. Is that correct?
Yeah, and again, some brands are pickier than others. Some brands, frankly, will take anybody, with the capital. And but most brands are pretty careful for a variety of reasons. I don't know if you're aware of this, but again, it's regulated, and when you're in by the Federal Trade Commission. So franchise sales is regulated by the Federal Trade Commission, and when you are in the research process, you're quickly going to be receiving a 200-page document called a franchise disclosure document. And one of the things that has to be there is a list of all your current franchisees and their contact info, and a list of anyone who's left your system in the last 3 years and their contact info. Okay. And so if a brand, and they have to disclose in a chart transfers, failures, ceased operations, and bought back from the franchisee. And so if you see in that document that there's 200 existing franchisees and 20 have failed or ceased or turned over, and in a relatively short period of time, it's huge red flag. So they really, do care. They want to know you're going to be successful. And frankly, they only make money if you make money.
Right.
This notion that, they just want to sell a franchise and make my $30,000. Not really. Yeah. First of all, the $30,000 just recoups their marketing costs that they put in to recruit you, either through brokers or through internet sites. So they only make money on royalties. So that's how they're aligned with you. Your revenue goes up. That's how they make money.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's fascinating. What about people who go into this and don't really know a lot about finance or accounting. They're, they know about air conditioning repair, for example, but they really don't know much about business.
So this is where it's important in that case to find a more established brand with a lot of resources. But it's funny because I have a questionnaire that says, what do you like to do? What are you good at? And what is your least favorite? And I can't tell you how often the least favorite is taxes, accounting, no.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, every business owner is going to have a bookkeeper probably and a payroll company. And there are brands who that's a big part of the training program is how to do your accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're providing you with the CRM. Of course, they're providing you with how to, your KPIs and what you're looking for and how to track them. And there should be strong coaching in that regard. If somebody tells me I don't want to do any accounting at all, then I'm going to look for brands that take that off your back.
Mm-hmm.
There are some.
Okay.
Not too many.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. So what are the most popular right now that you're finding?
Fitness, wellness.
Well, now you have me curious.
Healthcare.
So my LA Fitness that I go to, is that a franchise?
Yes.
I didn't
but
realize
that's
that.
not
Actually.
What's popular.
Okay.
It's all about boutique fitness right now. So the boxing, the rowing, the Orange Theory, the yoga, the Pilates, the
okay.
whatever.
I saw Ellen Latham from Orange Theory, the founder, speak at an event. It was really fascinating to hear the process that she took that idea to, and so that's
that space is called boutique fitness, and that's what's hot. And if you look at IBIS reports, which I subscribe to, it's an independent rating agency that tracks various industries and how fast they're growing. Boutique fitness is just killing the big boxes.
Wow. Very interesting.
So yeah, and Orange Theory, by the way, is sold out throughout the country.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I do think when I heard her speak, they were going global. They were opening some in internationally. And
yep.
Interesting. Well, I see you now that you're saying it. Yes, I see Core Power and a lot of different ones just popping up all over the place.
Boot camps are kind of old by now. That was 3 years ago. And that's the problem with fitness. I do worry about the trendiness because it's kettlebells and now it's this and now it's rowing and now it's what's the next hot thing going to be? So that I do worry about that a little bit. But there's some brands that I think are a trend proof and some interesting concepts coming on that are in areas of health, wellness, and I don't like to throw out a lot of names because I don't want people to have to call me. But there's assisted stretch. There's programs that do one-on-one personal training for people over 50 with injuries. That's their whole niche, and you can see where that would be a good place to be and inexpensive to operate because you're in an office building because it's all by appointment.
Wow. Okay.
There's interesting things. And of course, the whole cryo, salt, that whole wellness arena, massage, spas. I love a lot of the spa brands and the massage brands.
I think
sounds very interesting. As we get older, people are always going to want to go get a weekly massage. I mean, once you've done it, it's hard to stop doing it.
That's so true.
Monthly.
Yeah. It's very true. Well, I think this is fascinating. So, I mean, it really opens up the world of entrepreneurship to people who may otherwise never go there, So I think it's a wonderful option for people. And I would love for you to help people, find you because you are a fabulous resource. And I would expect that anybody contemplating this would be inclined to talk to you and just go through those assessments. I think that alone would be really fascinating. So how can people reach you? And, I know you had some offers that you were going to mention to people. And so
Sure.
Go ahead.
So if you can remember the name of my business, which is Your Franchise is Waiting, you can just email info@yourfranchiseswaiting or jane@yourfranchiseswaiting.com. And I have all kinds of ebooks. I'll be happy to offer the assessment free of charge for anybody that's just curious in that way. and reach out.
And the assessment I think you were offering to our listeners, and we have a link for that, right, Ryan? So there's a
I'm
link.
not sure I put that on
Oh,
there.
okay. Tell me what it was that because you made a lovely, generous offer to the
Yeah,
listening.
it's my free ebook on just franchising 101.
That's right. Okay, great. So if you go to the Limit Free Life /gift, then you'll be able to receive that. And but absolutely, contact Jane and find out what might be out there that would be interesting to you that could really change your life. Create a new business, create a side hustle. I really love that. That's a pretty exciting investment opportunity right there. So, well, Jane, I thank you for zooming in and talking with us today, and look forward to hearing what's new on the franchising horizon coming up. So you can also subscribe to Jane's newsletter, which I get, which will provide you, some info on what's coming and what's hot. So anything else that you would like to say?
Not really, just thank you for the opportunity. I always enjoy talking with you, Michelle, and good luck with you and your clients, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great day.
You too.
Okay. And thank you, radio listeners, for being here with us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're here every Wednesday at 1 o'clock at ubngo.com, and some Limit Free Life Facebook page,